Thank you, Myra. So yes, this is a opportunity for all of us to step into a deeper experience with our psychic gifts. When I say psychic healing mastery, there's just one thing I want to clarify. So there's many different types of psychics in the world, right? There's the psychics that read your future. There's the psychics that will caution you, the psychics that will tell you about some kind of curse or black magic. There's psychics that do all kinds of things, right? I want to speak about psychic healing mastery because the intention behind the type of psychic energy that I'm teaching in this class is about transformation at a soul level. Does everybody understand that? Many of you guys who have worked with me kind of understand this notion that it's like we're not here to try to predict the future. We're not here to try to get validation for these types of gifts. We're really here to present information to people and to ourselves that is going to help us to evolve at a soul level. That is a very different type of psychic ability than a lot of other ways in which psychics are using this information and this type of gift. All right. So I just want to preface it with that because sometimes being psychic can give us a feeling of maybe like a false ego boost or something like that. I know for me, that's how it started for sure. I got this like little like, haha, I know everything energy. And I really got some pretty intense karma kickback from that as well. So, for those of you guys who have been on this journey for a while, you know that with with great power comes great responsibility. And we definitely need to learn what that responsibility looks like. And we need to be able to recognize the power that we hold and how to hold that sense of responsibility in a way that is ethical, right? And being able to do that in a way that honors the souls of the people that we work with. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here. And then we're going to get into this presentation. Like I said, we may waver from it. If I feel like there's something going on in the energy field that is needing to be confronted, I will stop whatever I'm talking about and I'm going to attune myself to that because we need to connect with everybody's souls here as well and honor that. Okay, so this is all about awakening your psychic insight. It's about refining your healing power and really anchoring you into your true mastery. Today's class is the longest class that I have for structure, so we may not even get through the whole thing. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of time in the upcoming classes. So if you guys see, okay, we only got through half of the first day, don't worry, we'll catch up, okay? It's just the way that it was designed. All right, so what you can expect for today, we've already anchored into our presence and our clarity through our intention. What I want to set you up for is a massive opportunity to release any, let's just say, residue in your psychic gifts that are preventing you from seeing things accurately. Okay. And yes, Sabrina just sneezed. There's probably going to be a lot of stuff like that. Okay. Like yawning, sneezing. You might have to suddenly run to the bathroom a bunch of times because this class is not just a teaching opportunity for you to learn. It's actually a transformational opportunity in itself where we're going to be doing energy clearing and whatnot. So that is really important for you to know. All right. Also, we're going to be connecting to the highest good. So just to be clear, this class is not about anything new agey. We're not going to be tapping into different extraterrestrials or anything other than the intention to connect directly with source. Okay. And this training is not about channeling. It's not about mediumship as well. I just have to make that very clear. This is not a mediumship opportunity to learn to connect with other spirits or anything like that. And this is definitely not about channeling any other being outside of your own higher self and your connection to source. Okay, so this is where this particular class is about. And I just want to quickly also discuss the principle of source aligned sight. So when I talk about source aligned sight here, what I'm talking about is kind of a little bit of a tricky subject because, as you know, we all have our own filters, right? So how I receive a message for someone, like say we're looking at Zara collectively on a subject, right? The way we look at Zara with that subject, we're all going to see it a little bit differently because we all have our own filters, right? We all have our own way of seeing the world. We all also have our own languaging around how we process information. So the words that we use and the metaphors that we get and the sights that we might see and the insights that we get, they're all going to if they're all aligned to source, they're all going to lead to the same conclusion, the one truth, but they're going to be communicated differently. And I want you to know that that's okay. All right. We don't all have to get the exact same answer. What we really need to do is we have to recognize that our filter influences our receptivity and how we receive information. So if you come from, say, a specific, say you come from Africa, and then someone else comes from, you know, India, and then someone else comes from like the Middle East, and someone else comes from Canada. Like, you're all going to see the world differently, right? Like at the end of the day, we're all going to see things differently. However, the principal truth, the source truth is going to be consistent through all of that. Okay. But the communication of it and how we see it is going to be different. All right. So when I first got into this work, I had no idea about any of this. I have so many stories about what a disaster I was. And that's really what where this course was born from. So I'm excited to support those of you guys, especially who are on your early journey, to avoid some of the pitfalls. Okay. But really, the first question I have for you is, what is your source signal? And what is your source signal? What I'm asking you is, every single one of us needs to know when we're tuning into source and when we're not. And that's the most important thing right now before we move into anything else. We have to declare to ourselves, how do I know that I can trust this message? Because let's be honest, there's often a lot of interference. There's often a lot of distortion in the energy field. Say you watch a movie, you have an emotional response from that movie, and then you go look into something, and then some elements of that movie and how you feel about that movie are somehow influencing how you're seeing what you're seeing, right? And in some cases that's divine and it's aligned, but in other cases it's not. So what is your source signal? So I want you to just close your eyes, and you can put your hand over your heart, and I want you to ask your higher self, just connect to the higher self just above your head. And I want you to just ask your higher self for some kind of signal. Maybe it's an image, maybe it's a color, maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a type of flower, or maybe it's like a landscape in nature that you really connect with, or maybe it's just, you know, something's like a sacred geometrical shape, or it could be like something silly like sandals, you know, like it could be anything. But just what you're doing is you're just calibrating yourself. You're asking your higher self to show you when you know you're in alignment. What are you like? Ask for this sign, right? And if you don't see that sign when you're about to read someone or something, then you know that that's not source. All right. So this is taking me back to 2017 when I started getting more clarity around when I was tapped in and wasn't, and my source signal started showing up in my physical reality a lot more. And it was pretty radical, some of the things that happened. Even when Asana was conceived, my source signal was way in front of my face. Like, it was crazy. So you definitely want to choose a source signal that makes you feel like, yes, this is 100% coming from the light. This is 100% coming from truth. And this is personal to you. Okay. So you're not sharing this source signal with anybody. You don't have to share this with your partner. This is not about, this part is very sacred to you. Okay. Your source signal is very sacred to you. If you want, you can write it down in your journal for yourself. Okay. But nobody should know what your source signal is. All right. That when nobody knows what your source signal is, and you keep your source signal very sacred, what happens is that nobody can tap into your field and manipulate the source signal to appear when it's not supposed to. Okay. Because there's a lot of psychic stuff happening in the field that we're not always aware of, right? So does everyone have their source signal? Did everyone get their source signal? Some people didn't get their source signal. Okay, so if you didn't get your source signal, you can create your source signal. Just think of your favorite thing. Usually it's like it's connected to your desire. Desire means of God in Latin. Desire of God. So anything that is connected to desire comes from God for you. So anything that you desire, any sort of like vision or, you know, idea or something that you desire that just pops up for you, that's when you know that's of God. So this is like a backup way to get your source signal. Okay. Does everyone have something now? Does anyone need a moment? Just want to respect the flow here. Okay, awesome. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the heart coherence and non-judgment. So it's very, as somebody who has psychic abilities, it can be very hard to keep your unconditional channel of love open, especially if you're seeing things that you disagree with. Okay. It's like really, really hard to do because what happens is the human aspect wants to kick in and have its own opinion, right? And it wants to have its own judgment, right? Like the other day, I was working with a client and she's like on this mission to like lose weight. And then, but like during the call, she was like drinking Coke. And I was like, my brain just wanted to like go into like judgment or like, it wanted to make something out of that and be like, okay, this is not okay. This is a problem. But like that was just my brain and my own judgment of that trying to kick in and interfere with the messages, right? So I had to like take a step back and take a breath and be like, come back to the heart space. We're not going to judge that. It's all connected. My own idea as to what people should eat or not eat or do or not do should not interfere with my channel. If it does, that means I'm giving misaligned information. Okay, so this part is like super important because if you show up with your own ideas, and we'll get into all the satellites and what those ideas could be, but I just want to kind of break it down here that if you get into those ideas where you start having your own thought patterns about the person that you're working with or judgments, right? Like I was sharing in my Soulpreneur Institute that you guys know I've recently gone through like a maybe call it divorce, separation from Asana's dad, and but the biggest judgment I had was around being a single mom. And so I was really struggling with that. I was like, oh my goodness, like what does that even mean now for me? And what is my life doomed? And like had all these judgments and they were actually from childhood. And I wasn't seeing myself clearly or the situation clearly because of all those judgments and all of those stories I had from my upbringing. So I had to like go in and cleanse out my judgments, even just to see myself more clearly. So I could be like, oh, it's not that at all, right? It's like a totally different frequency than what I was projecting onto myself. And so like it was really empowering. And so what I really want to encourage here is the heart coherence, getting into heart coherence before you start working with anybody is so important. Okay. And I'm curious how you guys feel right now about me helping you guys all energetically drop into your heart space. Are you guys comfortable with something like that? Does everybody want to receive a little bit of a drop in right now just to feel that shift? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So you guys can just close your eyes. You can put your palms facing up over your lap. Just make sure you're grounded. Your feet should be grounded on the floor for this one. And you're just going to slow down your breath. And you're just going to say to yourself, you can just repeat to yourself in your mind, I drop into unconditional love. I drop into unconditional love. And just feel your heart wherever there might be pain or sorrow or grief that you're personally processing. I want you to see if you can bring your attention up closer to your higher heart, because when you're doing work with others, you can't be too much in your lower heart. Your lower heart is about compassion and love for sure, but it can also lead you to emotional entangling type messages. So what we want to do is we want to bring the energy up to the higher heart and feel your higher heart expanding and feel all of almost like butterfly wings is how I'm seeing it. It's like your butterfly wings start to expand, and I'm just going to energetically align each and every one of you before we move forward to make sure that you're coming from that heart. And it's going to feel like suddenly like, oh, my thoughts don't matter. I'm just floating a little bit. Or it's going to feel like, yeah, we're all love. Yeah, everything's good. We're all love. Like it's just going to feel very light in that capacity. I'm going to share this in this moment specifically. I actually, at one point, had a client who had actually killed somebody. And I had to this is where this gift came up for me, is that I really had to step into my heart because he really wanted to heal and he really wanted help. And his soul was like really asking for forgiveness. And I was like, okay, I can't judge. I have to go into my higher heart. So what I want you to do is like imagine that you're confronted with whatever your biggest judgment is, like whatever you think is like the worst person alive or whatever the thing you judge the most, see it in front of you now. Whether it's something that you've done in your past that you still judge yourself for, or maybe just in general, right? see if you can still drop into your heart in the face of that individual or that pattern and feel love, recognizing that we're all part of this beautiful tapestry of oneness. And just softening the heart space, softening the mind. I like working with the rose essential oil with this one as well. So if you're having a hard time, you can also get a rose essential oil and just put it over your heart space. That helps. And I'm also seeing that like as you connect to your heart space, a lot of you guys are going to feel like slightly out of body, not fully. You're still going to be connected to your body, but your body's not going to feel as heavy in the sense that you're not going to be so in your own emotions during the time where you're actually psychically connecting, that those emotions are going to interfere. So this is something that you can just really feel into. If you feel like a subtle shift, even if it's just ever so subtle, that's okay. All right. It doesn't have to be this dramatic shift in how you feel. You'll probably notice your face will soften, or you'll feel like your eyes will just start to water a little bit if you feel like, oh, wow, we're all love. You know, that feeling, euphoria a little bit too. Beautiful. All right. How is everybody doing here? Is anyone feeling that higher heart connection? Does anyone want to share in the chat box what they noticed about their higher heart connection when it turned on? Or anyone want to just jump in and share real quick? You can just unmute yourself. I'd love to hear what the experience is like for you to tap into this space of unconditional love.
Well, I totally resonate with what you're saying about I'm still in my body, but it's slightly, that's what I've noticed when it's
Okay,
flowing, right? And
good.
so,
Yeah.
but that helped with high heart because I hadn't thought about high heart. So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The high heart is where it's the unconditional humanitarian love. That's the agape love. The lower heart can have a lot of like just really niggly type things in there that can really mess with us when we're doing psychic channeling, which is why I don't recommend working with people that are really close to you. Can really
ah,
interfere. That's why
okay.
I'll never work on my family or anything like that unless I can really separate myself, but usually it's almost impossible to have objectivity. And so
Oh,
when you're showing up with objectivity, or sorry, you're showing up with subjectivity, you're no longer in love, right? Because you're wanting a certain outcome. The moment you have a desire for a certain outcome, you're not in love anymore. That's how you know.
yeah. That's so funny because I was supposed to work with my cousin today and I canceled because it didn't
Oh,
feel right.
interesting. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so
Anyway,
that's how you know if you're objective is that you don't actually have you're like however this goes, it goes, right? Like
yeah.
however this unfolds, it unfolds. I can't influence the outcome with my own thoughts. Like that's not the point of this. This is when you're connecting to source, there's a way bigger picture, way bigger tapestry that you can't see, that you probably won't even understand. And that's the beauty is what you'll know you're in the highest frequency when you yourself don't even understand the messages that are coming out. Sometimes I have words come out of me. I have to actually look them up in the dictionary in the middle of sessions because I don't even know what they mean. Okay. So it's really important that you recognize that there's going to be information that comes through you that's not going to feel like it's connected to your own ideas and your own desires for the person that you're with. Your personal desires need to be put on the table. As soon as your personal desires influence, you're not a clear channel for this information. You're compromised. Okay. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Tracy. Anything else? Anybody else have anything that they want to share with us? Any shift they're feeling or just a subtle change in the way that they're experiencing their heart? I gotta say the rose really helps too. I've got rose in my diffuser right now, and I know it's definitely supportive as well of that. Um, let's see, did someone just put anything in the chat box there? Okay, Sabrina said I feel lighter. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, great. Yeah, it's just a lighter feeling. And it's a sense that anything it's almost like also acceptance, I want to say. It's almost like anything that is, I accept. You know, if someone comes to you with like, say they're like emanating like your worst nightmare, like how can you really help that person, right? How can you step into the power of transformation if you yourself are freaking out about their experience, right? If you're too close to something, it's not going to work. Okay, so this is why this is so important before we even get started, is that we have to recognize this. If there's something that somebody is saying that's bringing up something inside of you, the way that I've learned to do this personally is I say, I'm going to table that. I just say that to myself. I'm going to table that for after the session. So a lot of you guys who are practitioners, you will find that you attract clients that have similar problems that you have going on the inside. That's cool. That's common. But the issue becomes when you start tying your story into it. Your story should not be tied into it if it's fresh for you. If it's a story you've already gone through, right? If something you've already been through and you've already mastered, cool. That becomes a great lesson. But if it's something that you are still processing, you got to drop it in your consciousness. I'm going to table that to process later. Okay, because otherwise it's going to start messing with your emotional body during your session, and it's going to start tugging at you, and all of a sudden your lower heart is bleeding, and you're in the middle of a session trying to bring information, but you can't because you're feeling too much for this person, because this person is echoing something deeply troubling within yourself, and that's going to be really hard for you to maintain your service. This is also, I didn't use this word, but I just said it right now, and I want to connect back to it. So this is all about service, right? What we're talking about is service to ourselves, to our humans from our higher selves, if we're doing this for self, right? I know Trina and Melanie, you guys both said that. You guys are really looking to have that experience where you can go deeper into yourself. So this is also a deep service you are doing to yourself, first and foremost, right? And then secondly, if you are in the practitioner perspective, you're also doing a deep service to somebody else, right? What does service means? It means that you're surrendered to source. So if you're surrendered to source and all your personal stuff is getting in there, you're not surrendered to source anymore. Okay, so it's really, really imperative that you can really break the two off a little bit. It took me a couple of years to master that, but a lot of times I also pray that whoever comes to me, that whatever clients come to me, that they come to me at a place where I can serve at my highest, right? And that's also an intention you can set, that I just want to serve people that I know for a fact that I can influence at my highest. I don't want to just serve people that reflect my wounds. I want to serve people that reflect the wounds I've overcome. And there's a big difference, right? And you'll start seeing it. If those of you guys who have practices, you'll see if you shift this intention, you'll notice all of a sudden that suddenly you went from feeling like you were cluttered and inundated with your clients and feeling stressed and pressured to like suddenly you're on top of your game and you're feeling like a leader. Like that's literally the shift that this kind of intention can make. So make sure that if you are working with others, that you're intending to serve at the highest level of transformation. All right. And that's going to really help you too, because this isn't about trying to serve certain people. It's about serving the people that you're surrendering most to God with, right? And it's really hard to do that when you have close connections with people. But some people can still do it in that space. They're just really good at dissociating, and that level of detachment is necessary for that. Okay. I'm not there yet, just to be honest. I'm sure I'll get there at some point, but I'm not there. I cannot offer clear guidance for people that are super close to me. It's not possible. Like I get really involved. Okay, so we're going to do a group energetic grounding. We're going to create like a breath coherence activation, and then we're going to go into some really deep satellite work. Okay, so in this group activation, what we're going to do is I'm going to have us all breathe together. Okay, so it's almost like I want you to imagine that we're all sitting in a circle and there's like this beautiful bonfire right in the center of us, and we're all even holding hands. And maybe you're actually sitting next to your partner, so you can just like feel the connection with your partner and start really flowing that, like that just awareness of your partner. Beautiful. All right, and then we're going to inhale through the nose for 2 seconds, and we're going to exhale through the mouth for 2 seconds together. All right, here we go. Inhale, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2. Exhale, 1. And as you continue this, just keep continuing this. I'm just going to ask that each and every one of you gets fully grounded and rooted in your body, because some of you guys might have patterns, and I'm already seeing it in the field, where when you start talking about this kind of stuff, you tend to leave your body. And this is not about exiting your body whatsoever. This is about rooting deeper into your body. So we're just going to ground you. We're going to ask that your root chakras become solid and rooted into the earth like a strong, vibrant tree. And you're going to continue breathing together, deepening your psychic awareness through your body as well. Imagining that every cell of your body is also receiving divine signals. And just feel yourself starting to really feel oneness with this group, and the intention of really highlighting our capacity to connect with source, highlighting our capacity to stay in our heart center, stay objective, highlighting our capacity to get the right information for the purposes of divine transformation for ourselves and others. Beautiful. Okay, how's everybody feeling? You can open your eyes now, come back to the space. Is everybody feeling rooted? Beautiful. Okay, awesome. So let's continue on here. Rochelle just joined us. Welcome, Rochelle. So happy that you made it. Okay. So next, what I want to do is I want to go into some of the differences between how we perceive information. Okay. So I'm going to just briefly touch on these aspects. I could probably go into these aspects for hours, but I'm just going to try to keep it brief for the purposes of this class. Sensing versus seeing. So sensing is typically something that you feel from your senses, right? So whether you see it, whether you perceive it through your eyes or through your taste. I remember I would have, sometimes I was very sensitive during my calls on Zoom, and I could even tell like if my client just had like a mango or something, and I'd be like, did you just eat a mango? You know, I could just sense that. I don't know if any of you guys have that ability as well. I since turned it off because I didn't want it anymore, but again, it's like a sense, right? It's like you have a feeling. Does anyone have anything they want to share about this? I think someone just unmuted. No? Okay. Yeah, Andrea? Okay, it just sent you. There we
Yes.
go.
So I sense people's pain,
Okay, yeah,
uh,
that's a
and
good one.
and um, or I sense their nervousness or uneasiness.
Yes, that's a beautiful example. Yeah, that's a beautiful example. And a lot of empaths sense a lot of this kind of stuff too, right? But what's the difference between that and seeing? Does anyone want to just take a guess? Yeah,
I
Andrea? Oh, sorry.
For me, sorry, for me, I can see it. I can just look at the person and see it, or I can feel it in my own body.
Okay. So what in this case, when I'm talking about seeing, I'm talking about seeing. Okay. And this kind of seeing is very different than this kind of seeing, right? And this is really massive, because a lot of times what we see with these eyes is the opposite of what we'll see with this eye. You'll see someone who's super nice and they look confident and whatever, and you think, oh my God, they have it all together. And then your third eye opens up and you're like, oh, this person's just trying really hard and masking all their pain, right? Like the third eye will show you the truth of a situation, but these eyes will not be able to give you the full truth, because a lot of our world, even ourselves, right? Like we're still on this path of authenticity. Even we lie to ourselves all the time. So it's not a judgment. It's more just the awareness of like, we are conditioned to wear masks, and we are conditioned to lie and also be lied to through the media. Look how hard the marketing and the media try to manipulate, right? Like there's so much money that goes into manipulation. So much money has been poured into manipulation for so long now that we literally live lives being manipulated, thinking this is true and that's true, right? And honestly, that can be very, very, very disconnecting until we actually choose to see from this eye, right? So it's sensing is a beautiful thing for someone like Andrea, who actually has to, she works physically with people, right? Because it helps to know where some, say, like a needle needs to go as an acupuncturist, for example, right? But if you're somebody who wants to see the truth of a situation, right? You're going to have to open this third eye to be able to see clearly what is the truth of a situation, right? And also doing that from a place of only show me what's for the highest good. Because I had a time in my life where I saw everything. And I also didn't want to see everything after all that, because I realized this is just too much information. And when I was working with clients, sometimes I realized I was saying things that I shouldn't have said because the client wasn't supposed to know that. And I had to really, I went back and I rewired this for myself. And if you guys want to do this for yourself, I highly recommend it. Just say, God, just show me what I need to see to share with my client. Because people used to say to me all the time, like, I know you're seeing 100% more than what you're saying. And then they could sense that in me. So I just said, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to see the whole, I just want to see what God wants me to see. Because the ego wants to see everything, especially in the beginning. It's like, oh, I want to feel like I can see the whole thing. And that's cute when it starts. But then if you keep working with clients or you do this repetitively on yourself, it's going to feel overwhelming because there's so many different moving parts to every situation. This is a massive universe that we live in, and all the dots connect constantly. Like, you can't keep up with that, right? So it's like, how do you keep up with it? You don't. You stop trying to keep up with it. Hafiz, do you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
In terms of the difference between sensing versus seeing, so the sensing, is that connected to, like, is it like the, like the five senses, touch,
Yeah.
smell?
Yeah.
Is that connected to that, or is it the psychic senses of that?
The psychic is the seeing. The psychic is the third eye seeing. The senses are through the body. So it's the smell, through the touch, for example, like you might feel an energy on your body. Some of you guys have probably had the experience where you feel someone touching your shoulder or something, like that's a sense, right? Like there's also like a taste, like you might be able to taste something in your mouth. Sometimes when I'm doing sessions with people, I suddenly have a taste and I don't know what it means, but I have to say it because it's like really intense. And then I say it to the person and they know exactly what the message is. And it's not for me to decode, right? It's not for me to figure out what that means. It's for them to just get that subtle message. So really just having your senses connected is useful. But also having this is what's really going to help you to see more clearly. Okay. So does that help, Hafiz?
I think so. There's pieces of it that so the seeing is, so like seeing or vision type of, like, I guess I'm trying to delineate from like visual sight to like the third eye.
Yeah, that's not,
Yeah.
when I say seeing, that's what I was saying earlier. I'm not talking about these eyes. I'm talking about this eye when I say seeing. It's a bit different. Yeah. Because what you see with these eyes can be very different from what you see with this eye. Right? Like I had a client that came to me and said, I've been in therapy for a year. Nobody could help me. I don't know if you could help me. And within the first session, I realized why no one could help her. And it was because the problems that she was facing, when I saw them through my third eye, it was actually due to a boundary invasion. But on the outside, it looked like all kinds of other things, like people pleasing and this and that. She had never connected it to what happened to her age 6, right? So we do one session, we reclaim those boundaries, and all of a sudden that year of therapy is like a joke compared to one session because of the third eye, right? So again, it's really important that you see the power that you have when you have the psychic vision. You have the capacity to see through things that are not visually obvious, right? Okay. Tracy, did you have one more thing?
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
so, there are two ways I'm kind of perceiving the difference here, and specifically on the seeing part, like an internal reading screen, or also just seeing the truth. Like it's kind of a knowing. Is there
a knowing? Yeah, you're right. If the seeing is the knowing, because like that's why when Hafiz said vision, I was like, I don't want to get too much into vision, because vision is often projection.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So if vision is connected to projection, then that means we're not really seeing the truth. We're seeing a projection, right? But don't worry, we'll play with all this stuff. It's very nuanced, right? It's very nuanced. So let's not get too, there's a lot to go through. And I respect that we want to get into all the nitty gritty, but I'm just kind of planting seeds today. And these seeds will start to kind of trickle in over the next even few months. Like these sessions are going to be highly intensive information and experiential sessions, but the effects of them are going to take about 6 months to really land. Okay, so don't worry if you don't get it all right away. Rissel, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I think some of this, what you're speaking to, will, like, once we start practicing together, it'll make a lot more sense. Because when it comes to seeing I think each one of us has a perception of how it is, and that's very unique to each one of us. And so to try to distinguish that with language right now feels like not necessarily a waste of time, but I think it's more of an experiential experience. Yeah, because I was gonna ask a question and then you started speaking. I'm like, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
We'll figure it out.
The more practice we get together, the better it'll be. Today is really just presenting you with some discerning factors that will help you see what you're seeing more. Okay, it'll all make sense. Okay, so let's get into observing versus absorbing. I know, Andrea, this is something you and I recently talked about, but essentially when you're observing something, it's not actually hitting your energy field. It's not hitting, it's literally just coming from this part of you that is watching, but you're not feeling anything. You're not feeling tethered to it. You're not feeling attached to it. You're not feeling triggered by it. You're not feeling moved by it. Nothing. It's simply observing. When you're absorbing, it's a completely different scenario, like night and day. When you're absorbing, you're like, you feel like you're being pushed into someone else's world. You're suddenly immersed in their experience. You feel all the things that they're feeling, and you're like you're almost like trying to save them. A lot of absorbing happens with empaths who have a childhood where they felt that they had to try to rescue or save or take responsibility for a family member. And so the absorbing happens for these types of people who tend to even store more weight on their body. This is me. This is like my whole thing, right? Is like, how do you learn to look at something without getting swept into the storyline? Okay. And if you're somebody who easily gets swept into the storyline, that means some part of you is tethered to that person or to the story. And that's when you can unconsciously start absorbing from them. And for this, again, this took me years, but I literally had to do, like, sometimes I would have to do a 20-minute salt bath after every client because I had it so bad. Now I don't have to do any of this, but literally this is how I started. I had to do a 20-minute salt bath after every single client. And it was because of this, because I would walk around feeling all their stuff all the time. And as soon as I started learning there's a difference between observing and absorbing, I stopped thinking about them after the session. I didn't even ponder the session. Usually if the sessions are still lingering in your mind after the sessions, it's because some part of you is actually still tethered to something in that session, which is not good. You need to know how to turn it on and turn it off. And Monica and I have also talked about this recently, and we'll tell you where this all fits in with your candle today. Okay. The next one is interpreting versus projecting. Ooh, this one's so juicy. Okay, so how do you know if you're interpreting versus you're projecting? Interpreting, what does that mean? It's like you're looking at a storyline, right? And you're like, okay, you know, this piece is telling me this, and then this piece is telling me that, and then this piece is telling me this. And so I'm just interpreting the data. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me, I haven't watched it. I don't know if you guys watched the whole like 50 Cent documentary about P. Diddy, but I just watched like a little clip about him talking about it yesterday on a media channel. And someone was asking like, okay, so are you trying to paint him in this light, right? Are you trying to get the audience to think a certain way about him? And he was like, no, actually what I'm doing is I'm presenting you with all the information for the audience to interpret for themselves. You know, to me, that's like a masterpiece. Like that's when you know you've reached mastery, right? Because clearly this guy has had issues with this like Puff Daddy in the past, right? Based on his, historical media engagements, but it's very clear that he has reached a level of mastery in his ability to show information without trying to paint a certain picture. Now, if he had a personal experience and he just wanted to project all of his personal experience through the documentary probably wouldn't even be taken that seriously because people would feel that, right? But when you're interpreting, what you're doing is you're just connecting dots without actually thinking, oh, this happened and this happened to this person, and because that happened to me, that must have happened with that person. You know, it's like what I said in, again, Soulpreneur, like when I shared with the world that, you know, Guillaume and I had split, I had all these single moms coming and saying, oh my God, it's so hard, I hope you're going to be okay. And I was just like, I don't resonate. That's your projection of single motherhood. I don't want any of that. Get that off me, right? Like, that's not how I'm choosing to see this, right? And it was like people were not interpreting, they were projecting onto me. And that's why I didn't want to, you know, really share it, but God told me to. But like, that's really the key, right? It's like, we don't need to project our own ideas of things onto other people's experiences. We're not, the moment you feel sorry for someone, let me tell you, the moment you feel sorry for someone, or you see someone as a victim, or you start, you start assuming things about their life, that's because of what you went through. Now you're projecting, right? Now you're projecting. So to know the difference is really important, because it's very easy to project when we have our personal life experience. But when you're going into this God source energy frequency, it's not about you anymore. You have to take yourself out of the equation completely, which means that you cannot project your own ideas over that. However, this is tricky when you're working with yourself and other people, because the question comes in of, how do we have compassion? So it's like, I want the person to feel that I care for them, but I don't want them to feel that, I'm going to subscribe to their victimhood story at the same time, right? So how do you do that? It really goes back to the heart coherence, right? It's like, I'm not only just seeing information, but my heart is open to you. So you know that no matter what comes through this information, my heart is loving you through it. And then you have to say less to the person, because they already know, they already feel your love. But when your heart is closed, then you have to try super harder to try to sugarcoat things and try to make things sound nice and not, try to preface things. You don't have to do any of that. When your heart is open, the client feels your heart is open and they're receiving your love. So as long as your heart is open, you don't got to worry about it. Okay. If your heart feels like it's closed, then yeah, people are going to start taking it personally, right? If they're not conscious. So it's just being aware of those types of things. Is this resonating with everyone so far? I know we're getting super nuanced already, but I like to get into the good stuff right from the beginning. Okay. So how do you know if it's intuition versus fear? This is another really good one, right? So this is good for personal. I don't know if you guys resonate with this for personal, but I personally feel like when you're in a fear space versus an intuitive place, it's going to be very and it's going to get entangled sometimes, right? Because you're like, I intuitively feel like I'm in danger, but it's like, or do you just feel like you're in danger because your environment is echoing something from a past experience that felt like danger? And that's the question that I ask, is when I'm discerning, like, okay, am I in a bad situation right now? Or, even anything, it could be like you're in a relationship, or is like, is this person going to cheat on me? It's like, intuitively, do you know if they're cheating on you, or is it just your fear that they're cheating on you that's making you think that they're cheating on you because you got cheated on in your last relationship and you never fully healed from it? Do you see what I mean? How this can be really confusing. So the secret that I have for this one is, I ask myself, if this is a fear, where would this fear be coming from? Right? So if there is something that's coming up and it's like, I'm not sure if that's my intuition or a fear, just be like, where is this fear coming from? And a lot of times when I ask that question, I'll see an image of my mom or my dad telling me to have that fear from my childhood. And that's when I'm like, okay, let's clear out the fear, and let's see if the intuition is still telling me the same story. Because it could still be your intuition and your fear simultaneously. That's the thing. So it's like, if you can find a way to get to the root of a potential fear, clear the fear out of your system. We're going to talk about this through our calibration session. But essentially, if you can clear the fear out of your system and still tune in and be like, okay, no, that feeling is still there, but it doesn't feel like fear anymore, then that's your intuition. All right. Okay. Zooming in versus zooming out. This one is really interesting to me. This is based on a lot of psychic clients that I've worked with. I noticed some people have really great zoom in gifts where they can literally get right into a very specific scenario and they can like outline all the details of it, whether it's the details of the physical aspects or the details of the emotional aspects. They're super zoomed in. People who are very zoomed out, they're more people that like look into the things for the collective versus work one-on-one, right? So a lot of like YouTube people, right, who are sharing information, they're tapping into collective consciousness, they're tapping into, you know, what are the astrological forecasts and things like that. They're tapping into a zoomed out version because what they're looking at is a big picture and they're looking at a huge audience, right? So if you're somebody on social media who's got a big following and you want to bring information, it's not going to be very productive for you to zoom in, right? Because then you're only talking to one person, right? But if you can find a way to zoom out and provide enough nuanced information on the zoomed out area, you'll start getting traction, right? If you're zooming in, usually it's because there's someone specific that you're tapping into that you need to give information to that is going to hit all the right spots for them to activate their level of transformation, which is, again, very different. Okay, so I'm sharing these things because I want you guys to become self-aware over this course to see how do you function. Are you a zoom inner? Are you a zoom outer? Are you an observer? Are you an absorber? Are you a seer? Are you a sensor? Are you a projector? Are you an interpreter, right? Like I really want you guys to start questioning where you're sitting on these particular realms, okay? And then the last one is really important. It's trusting source versus controlling outcomes. So if you're somebody that naturally wants to have control in life, this part is like a big lesson because it's all about learning to, and I think the biggest part, like for me personally, was with this was like, can I give someone information that they're not going to like and take the risk that they're going to hate me if I share this with them? Right, like that's a lot of what I've had to be confronted with in my work is, okay, source is telling me this, but I want to control the outcome because I want this person to like me. Okay, now how am I going to show that information, right? It's like I can't water it down. Like I have to be willing to this person to be like rejected. I have to be willing for the person to be like, screw you, buddy, you know? I have to be willing to be rejected. I have to be willing to be told no, like I don't agree or whatever. I have to be willing to be faced with that kind of adversity. Otherwise, I'm going to start controlling. And this is another really important thing because sometimes the truth hurts. And we know that, right? Especially when we live in illusion. We're living in an illusion. When we're living in that illusion and someone drops a bomb of truth, that's very uncomfortable. That's super. Has anyone ever been there before where it's like someone just came to you and they're like, dude, this thing that you're doing is not coming from the right place. And you're like, oh, damn. Like, you know, it's like all this time I thought I was operating in the right way. Sorry, go ahead.
And I just like speak to that because I think for me, and it comes back to the ethics, right? And the responsibility too, because it's like, I don't want to re-traumatize them too, right? Like,
right, but this goes back to our first intention that I'm sharing everything for the highest good of the person that I'm working with. So that trumps that completely. If you don't come with that intention, then absolutely you're at risk of traumatizing someone. But the thing is, you're not going to get information to traumatize someone because you've already set the intention.
Perfect. Thank you.
This is why this intention that we did at the beginning is so huge. Like I'm telling you, if this is the one thing you take away from all 6 hours we do, like that's the one thing you should take away. That your intention, even for yourself, even if you're looking in the mirror and you're like, show me the highest truth just for what I need to know right now, that's going to be a game changer for you. Because the moment that you start thinking, oh, is this person going to feel like this or that? That's you getting involved. And why do you have to get so involved when you have God's help? It's too much. It's too much thinking. It's too much planning. It's too much filtering. Like, wouldn't it just be nice to like dive into a personal healing session with yourself or with someone and not have to like try to derive any of this and just go with the flow? All right. And that's how you do it. You set that clear intention and you say, I'm only coming with the highest good and whatever information. And who are you to also judge whether or not someone will be traumatized? because that could also be a projection, right? So it's like, if you, that's an assumption. So if, say you get something from God and you start assuming, if I got that information, I would be traumatized, then you're not going to share that information when maybe that person wouldn't be traumatized. Maybe you're validating exactly what that person feels inside, and you're holding them back by not validating. Right? So it's not up to us to decide how another person's going to receive us. That's the control factor. Right? We have to be really, really careful that we don't try to intervene too much. Right? Okay. Is this all helpful so far? Is it helping you to kind of see all the little layers and textures of this type of work? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do oh wait, didn't we already do this? Okay, this is the big thing we're gonna do today. All right. And I want this to be because a lot of you guys have done energy work with me and some of you haven't. So I'm just going to preface it by saying that what we're going to do today is we're going to intend to close all the satellites I'm about to go into, but don't worry too much if you don't feel it right away, or if it's going to take time, or if it feels overwhelming. Just be like, whatever I'm ready to close today. Okay, just sit with whatever you're ready to close today, because by going through these things, all I'm doing is I'm planting the seeds that you'll be able to close it at some point. If you're not ready to close it today, it's okay. At least you're aware where it's coming from, right? Sabrina's already got the yawning going on. So this is really important, because some of you guys will say, okay, yeah, that's a satellite I have, or that's a satellite I have. And you're like, but I'm not ready to release that. It's okay. At least you know it's there. So in the future, you can release it. So when I talk about satellites, I just want to clarify, what is a satellite? To me, when I say satellite, I just mean that it's some part of you that is deflected from your what I call the alpha channel, which is the God channel, right? So it's like some other piece of you that is looking for information in another place that's not coming from the alpha channel. And there's many of these. The ones that I shared here are the ones that I've seen with myself and other people that I've worked with, but I'm sure there's way more. Okay. Even this morning, I was like, oh my God, there's a whole fantasy satellite. I should have put that in my presentation. So, it's like every day I wake up, I'm like, that's another satellite. It's like, there's a lot. We're just going to do our best with what we have today. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. So memories. Okay. So when you're looking for information, you might see, I have a friend that's like, oh, I'm always living so vicariously through you. And it's like, no, I don't give you permission to live vicariously through me. That's you trying to enter my field and be me, right? It's like memories. She's trying to recreate her memories of when she was in Canada. This was when I was in Canada, because she used to have a very similar life that I had. And she wanted to relive that life. So she was projecting that memory onto me, right? So that's what she was looking for when I was connecting with her. So it wasn't coming from a true connection. It was coming from me her trying to get into my world, which was coming from her satellite of memory, wanting to relive a memory. Okay, this could also happen with you with a client, where it's like, maybe there's a memory that you have and you see your client going through that. Your memory of what you went through has nothing to do with what the client's going through. You cannot assume the two are connected, right? So that satellite can throw off your psychic ability. Okay, I'm going to go through and clear all of these after I talk about them. Okay, just write down the ones that you feel you have. This will help you to just become more self-aware. The next thing is unfulfilled desires. So if you're say there's something that you really, really want to have, or something you really, really want to do, and then all of a sudden you see somebody doing it, then you're going to start idealizing what you would want from that desire and how you're interpreting their experience. Right? So it's like, okay, say I want to win the lottery, right? And say all of a sudden, you have a client who's won the lottery, right? And now that they're reflecting your unfulfilled desire. So now your assumptions of what it would feel like and look like to win the lottery start distorting your psychic ability as to how to help this person, let's just say, manage their wealth in the best and highest frequency, because you have your own idea of what you would do if you got that. So that's an unfulfilled desire projection. Make sense? Okay. The next one is emotional connection. This one can be really challenging, because if you're seeking emotional connection from people before above and beyond anything, everything that you psychically can get, you're going to do it from the place of, I want this to bond me with this person closer. And I've literally seen that happen with people that have this, like where their desire for emotional connection is higher than their desire for truth. So they end up channeling information that they know that this person is going to feel close to them and form an attachment with them in a way that they're seeking. So it's trying to fill a void. It's using someone to fill a void through your psychic gifts. That's non-divine. Okay. So it's like, oh, I want this person to be my friend, so I want to like help them through my gifts. But it's like, that's not how you're supposed to be friends with people, is to get validation for your gifts, right? And again, I'm guilty of most of these. So I just want to be clear, it's not judgment. Like I've literally been through most of these myself, okay? Trauma bonding. So a lot of us know what trauma bonding is, right? It's like when we have a trauma and then we see someone else with that trauma and then we see it in our psychic sense and we're all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden you're like in it with the person and you're like, wait a second, why am I like freaking out for this person when I'm supposed to be holding my light and act as a true channel for this person? It's because some part of your trauma was looking for that trauma bond with someone. And when you see that with someone, you start to get hooked into their story because you have a similar story. And then suddenly you're not seeing clearly again. Okay, so that's a trauma bonding satellite. The next one is the desire to be seen. So again, if you have psychic gifts that were never validated in your childhood and all you wanted, I think Megan, we've kind of spoken about this with you. If you really want your family to be able to see you and validate your gifts and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be looking for that in the rest of the world through your clients, right? And again, I've been there. So what happens is that you end up using your gifts with the filter of, I want you to see and validate my gifts. So I'm going to try harder to impress you. And then that also distorts your channel, right? The mirroring of an authority or guru. So say you have somebody that you work with and they work a certain way and you want to mimic their way, right? Say you're like, okay, this is somebody that I really look up to. This is how I started actually, was I had a teacher and I really didn't know any different. So I just mirrored everything my teacher did. And then I realized over time that I didn't agree with how she was working. And I felt really silly that I even did that. But I had to go through that process to realize like, oh, that's not me. This is me instead. So it's okay if you're doing it, but just be very aware that at some point you're going to have to find your own authentic flow. You can't just copy the way someone else does it because that's not original to you. But with that being said, a lot of times we learn through mimicking and we learn through copying. So give yourself some compassion and some grace with this one as well. Okay. Is that one clear? Are these resonating with you guys so far? Are you seeing how these could totally impact your clarity? Okay. So the next one is media mirroring. So whether it's like movies, books, songs, sometimes we get like, I don't know if you guys felt like nostalgic about certain songs in your childhood, like I did, especially when I was a teenager. Like I used to get really into music and like the lyrics of the music really would affect me. And then I would find that I would manifest the scenarios in myself or even like project them into my clients based on movies and songs that I wanted to see repeated, right? So whether it was like the story of Cinderella or like, the poor Aladdin who was stealing or like whatever it was, like I had so many attachments to these stories as a child that I noticed that I had to clear my attachments to those storylines to see people clearly because I was literally projecting some of those stories into my experiences. Right? It's different if they inform you. It's different when you interpret a storyline, when you're like, you look at something and you're asking God, like, give me a metaphor. And then the story of something comes in. That's different. But when you're projecting it, it's like you're trying to influence what you're seeing. That's also not ideal. Okay. ET influences, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but as we know, they can be good or bad. So we don't want to assume they're all good. It's always better just to go straight to source, I say. If you go to source and source says, connect with this Pleiadian from, this dimension, okay, but go to source first. Don't go to the Pleiadian first. Always go to God first because God has way more available to you. And if you need to drop it down to like a being, then when I say down, I mean like not the ultimate, but less than the ultimate, then it's like you're only doing that to help the client connect at a more human level. You're not doing it for any other reason, right? Past life influences. So if you've been, this one's a little bit harder to discern because we don't always all know our past lives all the time. But if you dig in when you have like some kind of trigger or something, you might find that there's like a past life where you actually are going through, or you went through something that your client is going through, and say the way you handled it in the past life, you didn't handle it well. And so now you're advising a client, but because you didn't handle it well, you're misadvising the client, right? Because you're advising the client based on what you did in the past life that was maybe not the highest good. So again, it's just be like, you know, when you're paying attention to people's stories, how does that touch me? How does that hit me? Could I have been through that in a past life? Why am I wanting to say it like this? If you're wanting to do anything, you're not in observer or objective mode. Wanting is completely, has to be void from every session, right? So the moment you want something for your client, that's how you know you're tethered to something. So that's a little hint that there could be a past life connection. Ancestral influences, this one's really big too, right? Like our cultural patterns are all different based on our upbringing. And how many times have we been influenced by our ancestors, and a lot of the influences from our ancestors are still, you know, living and breathing in us, and some of them are not divine, right? So again, just being mindful of that. Entity influences, this is another one where if you have an entity, did you know that your entity could influence how you're giving someone information, right? So again, clearing your energy is really important. Personal experience filter, it's like I went through that. We talked about this in the projection. Non-divine guides and angels. Guides and angels are not always coming from the highest good. So we have to be careful with that. Again, using your source signal. Okay. So when you're not sure about something, you can just quickly close your eyes. So you'll get a message, right? You just quickly close your eyes and be like, God, is this you? And just look for the signal. And if you don't see the signal or you don't get any insights about the signal, then don't say it. Okay. Groupthink. This one's really big in like people that are really embedded in communities where it's like everybody's fighting for something. You know, if you're like surrounded by people that are all like rah, rah, rah this or rah, rah, rah that rah, rah, rah groupthink becomes part of your everyday thought process. And it also becomes like a force. And that force can influence your psychic sight. Right. So you got to be careful with that one too. Ingrained beliefs, again, stuff that you've learned from your childhood, right? That could influence how you're getting information. Psychic imprints from past lives. So you could have like, not an actual past life experience, but like a psychic imprint from a past life experience, which is a little different, where in another life you got like, say you had a mother who thought a certain way, you didn't think that way, but your mother thought that way. But maybe in this life you missed that mother. So all of a sudden her imprints start affecting how you see the world because some part of you is looking for her, right? That's an example. Self-escapism as well. So if you're wanting to escape yourself, you might not actually be able to give good grounded information. It'll be very like ethereal. It'll feel like the person's getting taken for some kind of ride somewhere, but they're not actually getting clarity about what to do in their practical reality. And then the last one is pain addiction. So pain addiction is when we're always looking for pain in people. So Andrea, you gave a perfect example, right? But it's like just being mindful that you're not being drawn to people's pain because you're addicted to the pain, right? But it's like seeing the pain and sensing the pain in another is one thing. But when you become addicted to the pain, then all you end up seeing is their pain. And in your case, it's a little different too, because that's kind of what you're there to work on, right? So everybody's going to have, you know, their own filter based on what their purpose is with their gifts, whether it's for yourself, whether it's with a client, whether it's in person, whether it's online, whether it's through a body work, you know, whatever it is, whether it's through oracle cards, whatever it is. So any questions about any of this before we start doing a massive clearing around these satellites? The intention that I have for today is to completely remove any non-divine satellites from your energy field, anything that's ready to go. And again, you guys are all going to get access to this recording. So if you want to watch it again in the future, you can rewatch it and redo this one again and close more when you're ready. Okay. So it's meant to be like a living experience that can relive all the time. Any questions before we get into this? Are these resonating with you so far? Do you guys want to just give me like a number quickly, like how many of these resonate with you personally based on what I've shared? Monica?
About 6 of them.
6 of them. Okay. Anyone else? Myra, did you have some? Yep. 5? 5 of them? Okay, cool. Yeah, everyone's going to be a little different. Okay, perfect. So let's get into this. I'm going to turn on my AC because it's already getting hot as I'm even contemplating doing this. All right. So you guys can just relax. We're going to ask the hand of God to come through, and we're going to ask that you get rooted in your complete, true, authentic self, and you get completely open in your crown and your third eye to source psychic sight. And I just want you to, I'm actually already seeing like energies orbiting around some of you. So the way that I'm seeing it is literally like satellites that are orbiting. It's like I'm seeking this, I'm seeking that, I'm seeking this, I'm seeking that. So we're going to ask the hand of God to now clear out and remove all non-divine satellites from your energy field. Anything that has you searching or seeking for something that is not coming from your higher self when you're working with clients or yourself in terms of seeing things clearly. We're going to ask God to go one by one through the list that we just went through and to remove everything on that list that is applicable to you personally. And just feel slowly like all of the psychic channels that are open start to come back all to the one God source energy. And we're going to ask that the satellites be removed and sent back to the heavens. Just feel your body start to become more soft, and a lot of people that I've done this with say that they actually feel like their brain just goes quiet, like they're not picking up so much information anymore. And just feel, you might even start to feel like a pulsing just around your crown. There's just going to be more light coming through there. So if you can imagine that all these satellites that you had were just causing that light to be distorted, now all that light is starting to really become fused into this one channel, and it's becoming really, really, really bright, and you're getting nothing but the truth. We're also going to ask the hand of God to remove any chakra imbalances that are creating these satellites from coming up, because I'm just seeing some of you guys might just invite the satellite back once we clear it because of a chakra imbalance that we can clear right now as well. I'm also getting that there's like a mirroring satellite where it's like some part of you might try to mirror what your client is thinking. Again, that's just coming from wanting to be liked, for example, or you're going to mirror their higher self, not their lower self, essentially. And you're also going to mirror your higher self when you look in the mirror and you do this work on yourself. So it's really important to tell the difference between mirroring lower self and mirroring a higher self. Some of you also tap into people's fears, and then you start feeling like those are psychic messages, but they're not. So we have to clear that out as well. There's all these other ones in the group that I didn't even write down, so please bear with me. And also there is a self-doubt filter too that I'm going to ask the hand of God to remove for those of you guys who feel a lot of self-doubt when you're getting divine messages. We're going to ask that that self-doubt be cleared and removed so that you can rewire yourself to full levels of confidence and trust. And some of you have the the show off one, where it's like you're trying to show off your gifts. So you're kind of like you're going more in it than you need to. So again, this will be cleared when you set that intention. God, just show me what's for the highest good that I need to know to share with this client for the highest transformation of all. So we'll just ask any non-divine egoic energies that are parading around your psychic abilities to clear. Thank you, God. You're not doing this to be liked. And then just with your mind, I just want you to repeat to yourself, I trust what I know and I trust what I feel. I trust what I know and I trust what I feel. We're just going to drop the codes of that into your being all the way from the head to toe, through all space-time dimensions, through all of your energy bodies. I trust what I feel and I trust what I know. Even in past lives, if you got it wrong, we're just going to ask the hand of God to clear those memories out. So in this lifetime, you can be more empowered and trust that, yes, you can get it right now. Some of you guys are actually here because of that, because in past lives, you got it wrong and you're like, I want to get it right in this lifetime. Because I know that my wrong, whatever I saw incorrectly, had like really negative repercussions, but I don't want to doubt my gifts anymore. And I want to serve God. So that's why some of you guys were actually called into this group. We're also going to drop in codes of humility. And for those of you guys who've been doing this for a while, excuse me, where it's too linked to your identity, that's also fueling your ego. So we're gonna peel that off your identity. I remember for 1 year, all my psychic gifts were closed. I literally had to like go off social media, cut off my phone, go back and live with my parents. Like it was really intense. Like I felt like I was a nobody, and it was because I was supposed to find my light within without the gift. So for those of you guys who might have a bit of an attachment to the gift, we're just going to ask that that gets dissociated from your personal identity, because God has the power to give it to you, but God also has the power to take it away from you when you're not using it right. Oh, how's everybody doing here? You guys feeling that lightness again? It's probably just going to feel like you're more clear. Sal's yawning a bunch. Trina's got some tears. Yeah. This is going to continue to work on you. Again, if you want to rewatch this, once I send it to you guys, you can do this portion again. I do recommend it because there's probably layers to this. And today we just removed whatever was available. But when I look in the overall collective field, I actually see there's been a big shift. Is anyone feeling that? They're just a little bit more clear. Yeah. Awesome. All right. How's everyone doing? Is this a lot? Are you guys ready to move forward, or do you need do you want to take a little break? Is everyone okay? Okay. Just want to check in because I know this is pretty intense. All right. So we're going to get into the bodies next. All right. Now, the bodies are just how I've learned to see things psychically. So this is not necessarily like a modality that I studied or something that I learned from anywhere else. I'm not teaching this as a modality by any means. I believe everybody has the capacity to do this. It's just setting the intention to do so. And that's really why I'm sharing this with you. Because a lot of times when you work with people, there will be different types of things coming up for people, right? And all of us are not going to be gifted on all these bodies. Like, for example, because I had a background in health, like I used to work for a nutrition company and I also was a personal trainer. For a while, my psychic senses when it came to the physical body were like super on point, right? Because it was like I was trained to see things already through the eyes of health and well-being. So I had language for it. I had a framework for it. You know, I studied anatomy books. I have a degree in biology, right? So seeing things in the physical body for someone like me might be a little easier. than someone who doesn't have that background. So, but that's okay. It's just to show you that like your filter of how you see the world will tell you which body will be easiest for you to work with. Because you're not going to be an expert in all of these by any means, right? We all have our psychic abilities that are going to be really easy. And then there's going to be other bodies that we're trying to look at, which we're going to practice today, by the way, that are going to be a little harder to look at, right? And oftentimes the bodies that are easiest to see in others are the bodies that are easiest to, the bodies that are easiest to see in ourselves, right? And why is it easy? Because you've built that personal relationship with yourself. So if you don't have a personal relationship with your physical body, that's going to be hard to tell people about what's going on with theirs. If you don't have a personal relationship with your emotions, that's going to be hard to see others. If you don't have a personal relationship with your mind, that's going to be hard. If you don't have a personal relationship with your spiritual body or your sexual body, you know, for me, I had zero capacity to help people on anything sexually for many, many years because I grew up in a Muslim household where sex was taboo. So everything related to sex, I was like an infant when it came to actually understanding it and seeing it from all these different dimensions that I can see it now. And that's because I was literally like my development was really hindered and stuck, right? The wealth body, same thing, right? If you don't have a relationship with money or wealth that you've been cultivating, or if you don't have language to look at it, again, this might be a little bit harder for you to see, but you have enough to work with if you make money and spend money. Okay, so you don't have to be perfect, right? Business body, same thing. If you're somebody that's been around entrepreneurs, or you worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, or you worked with a lot of businesses, you have a lot of stories around businesses, which I did since I was a kid, it's easier for me to see a business body, right? Relationship body, same thing. If you're somebody that's been in a lot of relationships, whether they're friendships or romantic partners, you have a lot of framework to work with, right? And I don't know if you guys find this, I'm going to go to Trina specifically because Trina's probably been doing this work longer than I have, but like, you know, do you find that when you go through something personal that you that somehow that personal experience helps you to see something more clearly when you're looking at others? Yeah. And do you find that sometimes it happens almost because of that, where it's like you get put through something just because God wants you to help people at a higher level? So it's actually not even about you, it's about being able to be at a higher level of service.
Absolutely. And sometimes it happens where it's like literally a day later, it's like, oh, I have the words around that now. It's like, oh, they come through. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's, you know, a lot of times if you really want to go into this work, you also got to prepare for going through a lot of personal stuff so you can start to see things more clearly. But all of this is why, because you'll start to see these bodies with more clarity once you build these relationships. And then, of course, the Akashic field, that's like your Akashic record. So for those of you guys who have Akashic record training, yeah, you're going to be able to see all kinds of great stuff there too, right? So these are the different bodies. There's many other bodies. Like, for example, recently I've been tuning into people's beauty bodies, and that's just with respect to like how beautiful they feel about themselves and what their stories are around beauty and their physical vessel and attraction. There's also a fantasy body. Some people literally live in their fantasy body. So it's like they have these fantasies, but they're like really ungrounded from reality. So their fantasy body's like on full mode, and they literally act and speak and do everything from their fantasy body. So you'll learn as you go, like once we start breaking this down, how to maybe interpret these things. But I just want to create like a framework for you. These bodies are going to appear differently to all of you. Okay, so let's just talk about the breakdown of what these bodies can look like for you. Okay, so what does each body store energetically? So let's go into that. When something is stored in the physical body, I see it as something that is like unmovable. Like no matter what I try to do with energy work, it doesn't go anywhere. It's like that could be like a cyst, or it could be like, you know, somebody's got something going on that it's not energetic anymore, it's physical. I mean, you know, Kyla, me and your dad worked on that, for example, right? So it's like there's something about the way you see it. It kind of looks slower moving when it's in the physical body, and it looks like it's not flowing at all. It's almost solid and stuck. That's how you'll know when you're looking at something in the physical body. It'll feel as though it is no matter how much energy work you do, like it's not going to move in that moment. Like it's something that needs medical attention usually by that time. Okay. The emotional body looks very fluid. So when you're looking at something, this is kind of where I see things mostly, is the emotional body. And the emotional body is basically where you'll see that there's a lot of maybe colors or feelings that are just kind of swirling. That's how I see them, as they start swirling in different parts of the body, right? And you might see them as just being very quick to move. So you could say something to someone that touches on an emotion that they're feeling, and suddenly they cry it out and they feel totally different after, right? It's like they just needed to like move the emotion through. So emotional body is usually connected to water, tears. When you see like, you know, lakes or oceans or creeks in your visions, things like that are usually connected to emotions, right? And the mental body, this one is very interesting. I'm gonna be careful what I say here, because I don't want to, again, I don't want to project my own experience too much onto you guys, because I want you to have your own experience with the mental body. But essentially our mental body is our thoughts, right? So some people's thoughts are on a loop, and they just keep thinking the same things over and over again. And when I see people who think this way, it's like a record that just keeps going on, the same record, the same record, the same record. And then there's other people that I meet where their mental body's super flexible, and it's like quick fire thoughts, and things are coming and things are going, and they're not like rigid by any means, because we all think kind of differently, right? And the way our thoughts work are all a little bit differently, right? So different people have different mental bodies. I'm looking at Myra, I'm like, you know, it'd be fun to look at your humor body. So I'm gonna talk to you about that at some point. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, there's definitely like a fluid quickness. As I kind of see it as like darting arrows when I look at the mental body or the looping record. The spiritual body is super cool, because sometimes in the spiritual body, I can see how many lifetimes somebody's lived, or I can get a sense of their aura. I can get a sense of their purpose on this life. I can get a sense of where their soul is guiding them in a zoomed out way, right? Because the spiritual body is more of a zoom out, right? So you see like a big picture thing going on. Sexual body, to me, the sexual body is like fire. Like I always see fire, and I always see orange, and I always see like I always connect it to boundaries, because especially a lot of the people I work with are women who've had their sexual boundaries invaded. So I end up seeing, when I work with the sexual body, I do see a lot of boundary things and things like that. The wealth body, I can usually see like how much is coming in versus how much is going out, right? Sometimes I can see like if there's something coming in, and sometimes I can see if someone's not able to hold their wealth body. Sometimes I can see if there's just a disconnection completely from the wealth body. Some people don't actually own their wealth body. I was actually researching this yesterday, not just within myself, but externally. And I was looking into, when I say externally, I actually mean ChatGPT, by the way. I was asking questions about this because I found that being in a relationship versus not being in a relationship with the wealth body are two very different experiences. So that was for me personally what I found. And I realized that no matter if you're in a relationship or not, your wealth body needs to be sovereign and anchored into you regardless. And if it starts getting disanchored and into more of the relationship energy, and you don't have your own to hold down, it's going to feel very wobbly. So, you know, that's something that you could also perceive or choose to perceive. Business body is always, you know, it depends on the business. If there is a team, I can usually see like the kind of energy and the purpose of the business, what the business is here to do. You know, are people in the business in alignment, that kind of thing. Relationship body is something I'm also really good at. So I'd say the emotional and relationship are my highest, and then wealth and business. But the relationship body is about how you connect with people, right? So again, some people don't have a lot of experience connecting with people. So their hearts might be a little bit more like hermit, whereas other people are very outgoing and very outworthy. And like, you know, they're like Kyla, like look at her eyes, you know, like you look at Kyla and you can tell she has a very warm energy that, you know, people are immediately drawn to. So when I look at Kyla, her relationship body is almost the first one I see, right? Because it's like, you're such a people person, And even from the moment I met you, I was instantly drawn to you in a group full of other women. It was like I came straight to you, right? Because it's like that sense of emotional connection and depth is what I felt from you immediately, right? So it's like how we all connect to each other is going to be really interesting. And this is what we're going to play with, okay? And then the Akashic field, I won't go too much into that because, you know, that really depends on your training. But what does distortion look like in these bodies? It can look like holes. It can look like loops. It can look like dark energy. It can look like gray energy. It can look like literally entities. It can look like attachments. It can look like fuzzy, just hazy, very hazy visuals. Coherence always, to me, looks like I always see a sacred geometrical shape personally, or I see like a flow, right? I just see like there's this energy of flow. And a lot of times I'll see circles because things always seem to come full circle and everything's spiritual, right? So I always see like, okay, if we're in alignment, we're in circles here. We're not in lines. We're taught to think in lines, but in the spiritual energies, everything that's aligned is actually circles. And then how a psychic sees each layer, we're going to find that out because you guys are all psychic, right? We're all psychic here. And we're going to find out, how do we see each layer, right? So I want to play a little game right now where we can identify which body you read most naturally. All right. So this game is going to be based, we're just going to do like a live, fun hotspot. If you guys could get on camera, it would be better because we're going to start doing some of the partner work now. And we're going to get into more partner work tomorrow. But so far, how's everyone doing? I know this was a lot of information today, but I promise we'll be doing more partner stuff in the coming days too. Is everyone good? Okay, you guys ready to play? Okay, so Hafiz, is there a way we can see you as well? Not sure if Hafiz is there. Okay, maybe we'll start with Tracy and Andrea. So Tracy, I want you to look at, where's Andrea? Oh, there she is. Andrea, can we see your face a little more clearly? Is there a way? Because right now you're just, yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. Does everyone give permission for their partners to work on them, to observe them right now live? Yeah? Okay, I should have asked that to start with. I apologize, I assumed. Okay, so Tracy, I want you to look at Andrea and I want you to tell me what is the first body that stands out when you look at Andrea? Energy body.
I can't see her very well.
No?
No. Okay. I just think for
Yeah, just you don't even have to physically see her. Do you want me to spotlight Andrea? Would that be helpful?
I think I see her spiritual body.
You see her spiritual body. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And just whatever you sense about her spiritual body.
That there's a deep connection there.
Mm.
I see depth. Yeah. Let me just see for a sec. I don't know. I'm not confident with this exercise. I'm sorry.
It's okay. This is why we're doing it. Does
Yeah.
everyone so far see what Tracy's seeing and agree? Like I personally do. Like I see a lot of depth when I look at Andrea as well. I see her spiritual body is very vibrant.
Maybe if we put the presentation down, we can see everyone's
Oh
face.
yes.
That
Okay,
might
yeah.
help.
Let me just stop sharing that. Thank you. I thought there'd be a better way to do this, and I want.
And then maybe unpin
spotlight
yourself as the person.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say, Tracy?
No. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful. Andrea, what do you see when you look at Tracy? Which body? Is Andrea frozen for everyone or just me?
I think for everyone.
For everyone? Yeah. Okay, maybe she lost connection or something. It's that pressure. She felt the pressure. I don't know about how you guys look at Tracy, but when I see Tracy, I actually see your inner child body.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I see you, I see somebody whose inner child is very active, and she's really anchored into who she was as a child, and she just wants to continue to play in that inner child for the rest of her life. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to heal it right now. That's funny that you
Okay,
say that. I'm doing a lot of inner child work.
awesome. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, so that was a body that wasn't in the list. So you guys don't try to just follow the list. It's you know, it can also sabotage something that you do see. I just want you guys to get comfortable trusting yourself. Okay, let's go to Kyla and Rosa. Kyla, I'd love to hear what you see in Rosa.
Hello. For Rosa, I feel like the spiritual body is definitely the one that stands out the most for me.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of movement, a lot of that flow you were talking about. She feels very connected to her spiritual body.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Rosa, what do you see in Kyla? Don't think about what I said about Kyla. See it for yourself.
I forget. I'm in a trance. Well, but right away I think it, but it's I'm just gonna look a little bit deeper. Just one sec. Yeah. Can you highlight her? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because because she's her picture's a little bit smaller there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I see two bodies. I see the mental body and I see the emotional body. The mental wisdom for sure, but also thinking a lot, if I may, thinking a lot. And then also the emotional body is that you feel so much, and then you are also easily able to articulate those feelings as well. Just like even if you don't articulate them verbally, you do it energetically. People can see how you're feeling. Yeah, there's a passion there. Yeah, that's what I see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That reminds me of like a feeling of like almost like vulnerability. When I look at Kyla, I always feel like a little bit vulnerable because she's so willing to put her heart on her sleeve, and sometimes like, oh, if I did that, I would feel so vulnerable. So I like, learn so much just looking at her, right? It's just her aura itself brings that wisdom. So that's cool that you said that, Rosa.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Awesome. All right, let's go with Hafiz and Zara. Zara, I'd love to hear what you see in Hafiz. Do you want me to spotlight him?
I see Hafiz's spiritual body.
Okay.
It's very bright, very purposeful. I also see his inner child, where there's a little maybe self-doubt or little wound, that kind of like a little dance between this purpose, but that little boy needs a little extra love, encouragement. Yeah, that's what I see. Beautiful light around him, though.
Batman. Love it. Awesome. Thank you, Zara. And Hafiz, what do you see in Zara?
Okay. Literally on the spot. Okay.
Yeah. But just trust the first thing that comes out. We're setting this up so I think everyone here can offer grace if something doesn't resonate. Am I right? Yeah, it's okay. We're not saying this is exactly the truth. We're just saying what we see right now and where we're at. That's okay.
Yeah, I see her emotional body.
Okay.
Her heart field. It's very strong. mental as well too. And above that too is the spiritual body. So I see the three.
Can you see how they connect? Because that would be interesting.
The spiritual body is it goes above.
Okay.
Like just like it's yeah, like it's the most expansive one that I see, and then the mental, and then closer to her physical body is her emotional as well. So
awesome. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thanks.
Andrea's back. Andrea, do you want to look at Tracy? Tell us what you see in Tracy. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how to.
Do you want me to spotlight Tracy?
Okay.
Okay. So just whatever comes up. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. Just let yourself flow.
I see lots of the emotional body, and there is also a trauma body.
I have to share, that's hard for everyone to see. Do you know what I mean? That's tough for me.
And there is lots of mental body.
Yes.
That's what I see.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Tracy. Awesome. All right, let's go to Myra and Sabrina.
Okay, I've been itching.
Okay, let's go for it, Myra.
Okay, so Sabrina, immediately I got emotional body for you. And I feel like your aura is really big and bright. I actually feel this like big shield and bubble around you. But at the same time, you're very cerebral, and I feel like you're going through a lot of processing right now. But how that being said, like so mental body as well, your aura is still very light. So you might be in your emotions and stuff and processing, but you still have this lightness about you. That's just what I picked.
That's really accurate. I feel like I'm so impressed. And for you, I feel like I see your emotional body. When I saw you, I immediately felt a lot like a big heart, a lot of kindness, and there are other things that come up, but I don't feel. I don't know if it's me projecting, so I prefer not to share right now because I'm very not confident about this right now. But that's the biggest things I saw from you.
I mean, I was in what I was saying, so like,
honestly, if you're projecting, I'm sure Myra can validate or unvalidate it, so it'd be a good learning experience for you, Sabrina.
Oh, okay. I see also like I see also like I don't know, like did we talk about beauty body? Yeah. Beauty body and business body for some reason. I feel like there's a lot going on there at the moment, maybe, and you're like maybe in a transition or a transformative period around these things. But again, I don't know you.
Right, 100%. I've been digging a lot into like my own reflections on my beauty and what that means for me and how I'm like even showing up today on camera. Like, is that okay for me? And yes, going through a huge transition in my career and business. So you're completely right.
Oh, okay,
cool. Trust yourself.
Good job, Sabrina.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was not a projection. Cool. Okay, who's next? Melanie and Russell. Melanie, is there any way we can see you? Are you there, Melanie?
It's okay
Melanie,
if
are you
she's
there?
not on camera, as long as I can hear her voice to validate. She's giving me the hard mode. It's fine.
Maybe that's what you need for the mastery program.
Yeah. It's like next level.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up, Melanie, I get a lot of emotional, I get mental. There's just a lot of swirly energy in you. I see you tapping into your spiritual, but there's kind of like a disconnection there. You're very anchored in the physical. I don't see anything really in business. Kind of disconnected from the sexual. Very anchored in the 3D. That's what
Does
I
that
get.
resonate, Melanie? Are you there, Melanie? I'm not sure where she is. Okay, we'll wait till she comes around and see if that resonated with her. Does anybody want to? Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you so much. Does anybody want to read Rochelle? Since we don't have Melanie with us. Yeah, Monica? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I can jump in.
Awesome.
Oh, Rochelle, like the first thing that came up for me was like this fun like body. Like there's a lot of like childlike imaginative magical energy that comes up first. Like you are a child, but like in the most like magical way. Like you can see things in a child's perspective, and that actually lets you see and carry yourself like much more lightly through like the obstacles in life. And then the other one that's coming up for me is the emotional body. There's a lot of like, you feel things very, very, very deeply, very deeply. Like there's like this, you feel it like at a cellular level.
Does that resonate, Rochelle?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
High five.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Should we do Trina and Lubana? Lubana, do you want to practice reading Trina? Here, I'll just.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I need to see her.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me find her. Sorry, I have to go through everybody.
I can spotlight her if you like.
Okay. I see a lot of strength. I see a long journey of lessons. I don't know if I'm what kind of body that would be, but emotional, also very intuitive body. Yeah, I feel her a lot actually right now. So I guess what is that? Maybe that's her spiritual body that I'm feeling. But I do feel a lot of spiritual. So yeah.
Yeah.
Does that resonate, Trina?
Completely resonates. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so let's look at Lubana now. Lubana, I'll spotlight you. And Trina can read you.
So I'm seeing your self body, not in a negative way, but in a very heart-centered way. Like you've had this journey that's been so outward focus, and you're at this juncture of coming back into your heart center, yourself. Where are you in the picture of all of it? So it's a connection with heart and spiritual body. And there's
Does
like
that
this,
resonate? Oh,
there's a river of beauty body. It's kind of like running through, and I see it. I'm closing my eyes because I'm a visual kinesthetic, so I see through my feelings. Um, the feelings make pictures. But through this river, it's like through the self body of journey, it's like you're kind of reaching out and grasping here and there. It's not a constant. Yeah. What's strongest is the self heart and the spiritual.
Yeah, I think you're pretty all right. I think Selena knows more.
No. You know yourself best over anybody. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Trina and Mugana. And just to say here that Melanie did write in the chat that she's actually here, her camera's on and she was talking, but for some reason we can't see her or hear her, but she did say that what Roselle shared did resonate with her. So that's beautiful. And I've asked her if she could share what she sees in Roselle, and I'm just waiting to hear back. So just FYI on that one, okay? And let's go into Megan and Monica next. So Megan, I would love to hear what you see in Monica. You can spotlight Monica if you wish.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, that's that. Right away, I'm taken to the emotional body, and I'm seeing there's like a lot of energy, and it's almost like wanting to overflow. But there's like a bit of constriction, but then right on top of that, because I had tuned in a bit before too, so on top of that, I see the business body, where it's like the emotional body and the business body are connecting together. So there's a lot of ways where the emotion is going into that, but there's still somewhere where it's like in the emotional body still has this like kind of a the flux. It's like in a fluxing area, and then right on top of that, I'm taken to the Akashic, and I'm seeing like bouncing of different lineages which that connect back to your business and back to your emotions. And there's like these like some star lineages, but it's just like kind of like it's almost like its own constellation of lineages that like come back down, where it's like in this like kind of like a I want to say like pillars, or almost like a funnel. But I want to say funnel because the avatar is like smaller than like the grandiose scale. So yeah, and then it just feels like they're all tying together somehow. And let me just see if there's anything else. And then I'm also seeing like a layer of the mental, where it's like the mental and emotional are trying to merge in ways as well, but there's still like a bit of a difference, or a bit of a juxtaposition. Is that the word? That's the right word. Yeah.
Does that resonate, Monica?
Yeah, it does completely.
Okay, beautiful. Do you want to read Megan next?
Yeah.
Okay. There she is. I was trying to find her on my screen. All right, there we go.
Immediately I see your spiritual body, and it's very vast, and I can see all the cosmos within your spiritual body. So it's like this very divine connection, specifically with the moon. And there's a lot of like information that gets transferred from the moon's essence, moonlight, to the way you see and interpret the world. I see the wealth body, and the wealth body is like very connected to this moon energy, and it's vibrates and continues to grow with this connection to the moon energy. It's like very grounded, like you're very grounded and connected to Mother Earth, and it's almost like your Mother Earth body. Like there's this like heart connection to Mother Earth, that it's embodied through all of your cells, your DNA. It's like the heartbeat of Mother Earth is your heartbeat. It's one. And that's also very much connected to that's very much connected to your wealth body. Does that resonate? Oh.
Yeah, it does. It does. Interestingly enough, I have been, because I'm down in Florida, I've been seeing the sky more often as well. And resonating in the sitting in the darkness a lot more often, not just because of the season, but being more comfortable in it.
Mm.
That's amazing.
In the night sky, yeah. Because for a while it was like I was like the sun, and I kind of came back circle to like respecting the other parts of the skies and that kind of thing.
Very cool. Wow, thank you. Well, thank you all so much for participating. And I know that some of you guys felt a little bit of pressure on the spot, and some of you guys are more natural at this. So please just know that we're in a non-judgmental zone. The more we practice, the better, because even if something doesn't resonate, at least you get feedback about, oh, I see why it didn't resonate, because I was kind of feeling like it was a projection, or I was kind of feeling like it was this, and it actually helps you. So please use the space to make mistakes. Okay, I really want to encourage mistakes. If you're trying to be perfect, it's not going to help you as much in this class as if you actually push yourself to make a mistake, because that's how you're going to get the right kind of feedback. All right. But I know today is our first, let yourself be messy. I know today's our first class, so we're just kind of getting familiar with each other. And it's always a little bit in the beginning, it's always a little bit like, ooh, is it safe? Can I say that? What if I make a mistake? But just know that I think we all can hold space for each other to have some mistakes, even about how we're read, as long as we have our boundaries around what we accept that other people share and what we don't, right? So let's just own that. Just before we go here, I'm seeing Melanie saying that she's seeing a very strong emotional body around Rochelle, and a very strong intuition, reading others like a book. Does that resonate with you, Rochelle?
Yeah, I can see that. Just that.
Reading others like a book, because she also does human design, so that makes sense, right?
That's funny. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's really good and accurate, Melanie, as well. Okay, so I just want to check in with you all. I know that today's class was our first class. There's a lot of information. We're going to be doing more practice work again tomorrow, but I would love to hear, like, just from what we've shared today, what was your biggest takeaway from today? And I'd love to hear from everybody. So maybe we'll start with Tracy. Oh, can't hear you. 1 second.
Yeah, no, that was me actually. I had it off. Biggest takeaway from today. Well, I guess maybe just thinking about the satellites and the projection, just because I have so much stuff moving, right? But still being like aware that there's such a level of intuition, but it's harder to access when those are moving, right? So it's a great lesson for me. Thank you.
And that intention will completely disconnect you temporarily from those emotions. So you don't have to, so just be mindful. You put it back on when you're done, but if you're in session with someone, you can kind of detach a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for that. That's great to know. Megan, what did you get from today?
It's interesting. I wouldn't say favorite, but the part that really stuck out to me was the part about the symbol, to know, and right away I got it. And it's interesting because it's one of the first things that first psychic sights I saw as I reawakened to my psychic abilities like 6 or 7 years ago. It's one of the first things that came to me, and it led me down a path to shamanism, or back to a shamanic journey of remembering that within myself. And then it was like became super duper strong. So that was refreshing to know for the future, and it just was like it was instant. So
amazing. Wow, thank you, Megan. Lubana, what about you?
I like the whole bodies. Like, it's interesting how there are different kind of bodies, and now I can feel like how I can maneuver that forward. And honestly, I'm loving everyone's energy too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lubana. Happy to have you here. Trina, what about you?
So you were talking about it in terms of reading and psychic, but I love something that you said just in terms of life in general. And that was, as soon as you have an agenda, you're not in love. And so I love taking that out, like, beyond this, but just into life as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Rochelle?
I was just being with Trina's words. They were really great. I was like, yeah, that's good. I think it's not something to take away, but the most impactful moment in this training was seeing how many attachments I had, like the different satellites and things. So being able to feel what it feels like to be clear of those, and then also knowing that sometimes they reattach and to be mindful of that too. So yeah, that was my most impactful moment of this training.
Awesome. Thank you, Roselle. That's great self-awareness. Yeah. Zara? What would you say your biggest takeaway was from today?
For me too, just being really mindful and aware of the satellites. I've already started doing that, but just really having them all kind of laid out so I can. And also the other thing was the interpreting and projecting, really discerning between that. And I think also you giving your own personal examples really, really helps. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I look forward to diving deeper with all these bodies.
Okay, awesome. That's good to hear too. Yeah, I love to know what you guys want more of and things like that, so I can make sure to bring it into your experience. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have to say something. When you started, I wanted to ask you, did you purposely choose this day to start this 369? December
That's crazy
6th,
that you
29?
no, that's crazy. I didn't even know that it was 369, but I've been praying and meditating on 369 for 2 weeks. So that's kind of crazy. So I didn't even do it
that's the first thing when you started
it
came, but I didn't want to interrupt your flow. So
yeah.
I thought I'll say it at the end. Yeah, 369. Yay.
Okay, that's really cool. Thank you, Zara. And Monica, that confirms something for you, 369, because we had a conversation about 369, and I was going to tell you that day that you were actually completely accurate about those numbers with me, but I didn't say it, but now you get the...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny that Monica's next too, because the 369 is definitely in my field right now. So but I didn't do it intentionally, but it's just in my field.
Yeah, so that's why I picked up that when we started. Okay.
Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing. Monica, what did you take away from today?
I really enjoyed going through all of the satellites. As I've been like going through my journey and serving others, I was able to pick up like where I to be more mindful. It's really helpful as like being able to like, I knew that they were there, but I didn't understand how they were connected to non-divine satellites. And so now that I can see them, I can be mindful of them. Well,
awesome.
removed now, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And again, I think someone said something about just having that awareness that if they pop up again, I think Roselle said that, like having that awareness, if they pop up again, then you just kind of tune in and be like, wait a second, is that satellite popping up again? So you can just be mindful. Awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Kyla, what about you? What did you take away from today? Oh, you're still muted. Hold on. I'll ask you to unmute. And if anyone has to go absolutely right now, please go ahead. I know we're a couple minutes over. I just personally want to get through everyone that's ready to share. So I understand.
Yes, I do feel like removing satellites was definitely super impactful. Like I could really feel the difference in my body during and afterwards. And I just felt like so much clearer. I feel like the discerning whether it's fear or intuition was a big one for me too, because I feel like that is a question that trips me up often. So yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad that was helpful too. Good, yeah. Andrea, what about you? I know you're driving. I don't know if you're able to connect. Can you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Good. Okay. Let's go on to Rosa. Rosa, anything you want to share about your takeaway from today?
Yes. All of it was brilliant, actually. I could feel it was just great to have the clarity of what needs to shift and actually realizing that the shift can happen so quickly just in the class itself. So I'm happy that I'm here in person, to be honest, because I really feel it a lot when it's in person. So I really love I love the foundation, the psychic foundation part, especially as well as the satellite. And the foundation part is, knowing, thinking that we know what we know and then allowing myself to be like, no, You think you know, but you don't know. But and there's not even a right or wrong about it, really. It's not even a right or wrong. Like just example, like seeing and sensing, both are needed, but we just need to discern what's needed in the moment and what's most important and that sort of thing. So it was like really compartmentalized so well. And I was just like, so that was really amazing. And then the satellites, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have so many. And I've gone through so many, and I thought, oh yeah, have I let that go? I had to second guess, have I let that go? And it's like, but I identified with a lot of them and then realized the importance, the way you explain them, especially the importance of why they are needed to let go, because source could mean so many things for so many people, but God's source is the divinity, right? And it has, it has room for so much faith and trust and love. So, so that was really, really powerful for me. All of it very powerful and very shifting. So thank you. That was beautiful.
Amazing. You're so welcome. Thank you for sharing. Love that. Sabrina?
I really liked going through the satellites. I wasn't aware of that, so it was interesting. And the biggest takeaway for me was to trust more myself and follow my intuition.
Yeah, because you did a really great job reading and you didn't even know it. And you finally let yourself, well, Myra gave you more permission. So I think that nudge was useful. But I'm really proud of you. And I think as we keep going, like really push yourself.
Thank you.
To keep exploring, even if it's wrong, it's okay. Yeah, thank you. Myra?
Okay, yeah, I think for me, definitely echoing what most people have said is the satellites for sure. I've really felt that shift in my body, and I think that's why I was able to go and reading Sabrina with the confidence that I did. For everyone providing a safe container to do so. Yeah, I think for me, like if I can, like maybe, I don't know, I've been sick for like the last month, so my brain is like tingling. But I think like if we can get some very like practical tips, and I don't know if it's just setting an intention of like, yeah, show me if this is fear versus my intuition right now. Like,
yeah. Well, you can ask for your source signal.
Yeah.
So if it's intuition, you just say, show me is my source signal here. And if it's not, then you know it's a fear. So that's another way you can incorporate the source signal into that.
Yeah, I guess you can just put it everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because as soon as you the more you connect with your signal, the more you're going to be like, okay, this is my signal. So it's going to be like, it's going to get stronger the more you use it. It's like a muscle. Yeah.
Out when you were talking about finding it. So I just decided what mine was. I just told it.
That's okay. That's okay. And just play with it now. It's like, it's like a chess piece for you. So you get to play with it.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mara. Also, I just want to allude to the fact that when Myra joined, she was also concerned about like the ethical aspects of this class. And I know we didn't get into them today, but actually the satellites are most of the ethical aspects are in the satellites themselves, because if you are going to use your psychic abilities appropriately, you have to close those satellites. And that is the most ethical way to do it. We'll talk more about things like permission and receptivity and stuff too, but I just want to say like those satellites are very tied into ethics too. Okay, so I think that's going to connect. I don't know if Melanie's available to share anything, or maybe Melanie, you can just share your biggest takeaway in the chat since we can't see you or hear you. And we'll just go on to Kyla until we hear from you. Wait, Kyla, did we already hear from you? We did, right? Okay, that's what I thought. Hafiz, we haven't gotten to Hafiz. Thanks, Myra. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm still grounded and taking it all in, but definitely in terms of the foundations for sure, like in terms of like observing versus absorbing, like just being able to delineate between those two. Same thing of interpreting versus projecting, where I lean more on. And of course the non-divine satellites as well too, the awareness of that as well, and just a reminder of being vigilant as to how that shows up, and then being detached from it with the outcome. So it was interesting because even during when we were doing readings, like the group session, like that came up for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like being seen doing this, I felt a lot of aversion. I still feel residual feelings towards it, to be honest, around that, because I'm usually being seen
more
like
private
that.
with it.
More one-on-one. That's sort of where that shows up for me, and there's that sort of, so just being aware of that. So that's interesting. So I'll probably do some journaling around that to see what. So thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. Great awareness of these as well. That's good to know, because it'll just give you that much more confidence when you feel comfortable being seen too, right? So definitely work on that if you can. And if you guys have space today, you can definitely work through the workbook. You guys all have the workbook, right? You can start going through just the first day of the workbook if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to just really crystallize a lot of the things we talked about, you can definitely move through the workbook before tomorrow. If not, no worries. Tomorrow there's a whole other class with a whole other section of the workbook. So I just want to respect all of your divine rhythms, whatever feels good. If you want to go all in, you can go on. If you want to throw the workbook aside and come back to it in 3 months, you can do that too. We're recording this. You guys will all have access to the recording. So again, if you guys decide, oh, I got to revisit this or that in the future, it went over my head, you'll have the ability to do that too. The purpose of this is to just bring as much as possible as I can in a short period of time. Literally took me 13 years to even see what those satellites were. I did not learn about these satellites anywhere. So, it's all from personal experience that I'm sharing with you guys. So I appreciate the feedback. It gives me insights as to, oh, that is valuable or that's not as valuable or whatnot. So thank you all so much. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, everyone. Bye.